What's going on YouTube? My name is Tony Doe. I'm a doctor of physical therapy and I recently just relocated to Washington State to start my first physical therapy job. Now, in this video, I want to walk you through a day in the life of a home health physical therapist. And I know many of you aren't physical therapy students, PTs themselves, or prospective students, so you're not familiar with all the different settings that we can work in as physical therapists. Here's a quick lowdown. Physical therapists can work in many different settings, including outpatient setting where it's more so office based that you guys may be more familiar with, in the hospital where it's more acute care, more inpatient rehab, and then you can go to skilled nursing facilities, long-term living facilities, schools, occupational type settings. So there are many different settings that physical therapists can work in. In this video, I'm going to show you the home health setting, which is where I work in. Sit back, relax, enjoy, and leave a comment and a like below if you enjoy this type of video and want to see more in the future. Let's get into it. So on any given day, I'll see anywhere from 3 to 6 patients. How many I see depends on what type of visits I have for that day. So in home health care, many different types of visits that require different amounts of time and paperwork. So first and foremost, Medicare Part A, which is the primary, funds that fuel these patients' services, require a lot of paperwork. So, for example, a starter care, which is the first session that we're seeing with this patient, getting them into the company, lots and lots of paperwork, anywhere from 1.5 to 3 hours in the patient's home, and then an additional 1 hour or so of paperwork depending on how much you get done in home. So that one, if I'm seeing that, I won't be able to see that many other types of visits for that day. So that would be anywhere from 3 to 4 visits if I have a starter care. Now, if it's more so a PT evaluation, for example, where someone already did a starter care and I, as a physical therapist, I'm going in to see where they're at as far as functional mobility goes, that one with everything in home and paperwork takes anywhere from 1 hour to 1.5 hours, depending on how complex they are. With home health care, the day usually starts the night before. So we have to call our patients and schedule them for the next day, making sure that we allocate enough time for driving between patients, enough time for in home with the patient. So like I mentioned, if it's a starter care, I'll be blocking off 2 hours for that patient and then some extra time afterwards to either document a little bit or drive to the next patient. And then with that, the office usually puts patients on our schedules for the day and the week. We have the flexibility to move them really wherever we want for the most part, with some certain guidelines, of course, but the flexibility is huge with home health. So if, for example, I have a very busy day that's not work related where I won't be able to see as many patients, I can see a patient later in the day, see fewer patients, and then make up for it later in the week. Front load the week, back load the week, lots of flexibility with home health. Now, our EMR, electronic medical records, is done on the phone here. Usually with PT settings, outpatient or acute care, it's usually done on a laptop. But for home health, it's usually a phone or a tablet. All right, patients scheduled for tomorrow. We'll see you guys in the AM. So it's right around 5:45 a.m. About to mix the pre-workouts. My girlfriend and I, as well as our dog, we like to go on a morning stroll. So we'll go for about 1 mile to 1.25 miles about. Takes about 20-25 minutes. This is a good time to wake up as well as drink this water, drink this pre-workout, then I hit the gym. So I'll do 2 scoops of this, which is only 100 milligrams of caffeine, so not too bad, but it is just enough to wake me up for the morning. So we like to do these morning strolls because it helps us get our steps in for the day, and it helps that Tara, my girlfriend, does the same exact job with me with the same exact company, so it makes things easier to coordinate. But with home health, we're only walking so much throughout the day, right? There's not that many steps. We're spending most of our time in our car, and the only times we're out of our car is with our patients or going to find a restroom or something. So the steps are pretty low on the home health side of things, but with this morning walk and then with our afternoon walk, we'll hit anywhere from 8,000 to 10,000, which is the ultimate goal between these walks, my workout, and then, you know, any steps throughout the day. So we'll do it with our dog. And when I ask him right now, you'll see he loves to go on walks. Does. You want to go on a walk, Dad? You want to go on a walk?
You want to go for a walk? You want to go for a walk? Let's go.
Hit your bells if you want to go for a walk.
Hit your bells. Go
boy.
Come here, dude.
What you done, Dad?
You want the Bailey ribbons?
Oh, you want the Bailey ribbons? You want the Bailey ribbons? Yeah.
You want to take them?
What you doing, Dad? Where we live definitely has one of the best walkability scores. Lots and lots of restaurants, stores right around us. We live right on the Puget Sound, as well as amazing views of that and Mount Rainier, which you guys won't be able to see right now, unfortunately. But down this way, there's a walking strip, and that's anywhere from 1.5 miles. And then coming back as well, we can go the other way, which is another like 2 miles or so, would you say?
Yeah, it goes pretty far.
So we have so much ability to walk that when the weather permits, we try to walk as much as we can. Time for a date with the iron. Gym session complete. Those Monday morning workouts are always hit or miss, man. This one was definitely on the miss side of things. So it's kind of my morning ritual, man. I'll hit the gym, afterwards walk into the parking garage, go to my car, pack up my bag for the day. That's one thing about home health is your trunk is filled with equipment, with gear, with boxes. So, you know, me having a small car makes it a little hard. So next time I get the new car, I'll probably invest in a small SUV or something like that. But man, so it's finally getting bright out. Let me show you guys the views I was talking about earlier. Incredible. And then towards the right more, that's where the mountain is. All right, Dr. Schmidt, from your point of view, the hardest part of home health so far?
I say the hardest part is probably the administrative stuff. Making sure that you can schedule everyone that you want to see when it's convenient for them, as well as making sure it makes sense in your route, in your daily driving route, so that you're not driving 40 minutes between each patient in a zigzag pattern. I say that's probably the toughest, and then contacting physicians and doing kind of the back end stuff. The visits are wonderful, but it's kind of the back end stuff that makes it more tricky.
Facts.
I don't think he ate all day yesterday.
So all freshened up. Usually what I'll do now is I'll have 2 scoops of protein, just to help me get enough protein in for the day. So this is anywhere from 45 to 50 grams of protein. And then what I'll do as well is I will grab my stuff for the day. So what I usually bring for sure is a 3D Energy. I've legit had one of these or a Monster every day since the beginning of graduate school. I'll bring a little Gatorade Zero just for a midday little, you know, quench of the thirst. And then just an agua. And then for lunch, all I'll have is a protein bar because I'm usually home by around 3:30, the latest 4:30 or 5. So I'll have my largest meal later in the day. So it's about 8 a.m. and the only thing left for me to do right now is to chart review for the day. So I have a few patients. I'm going to look at their medical records. If it's a newer patient, I'm going to see what they were hospitalized for and what they were referred to home health for. If it's a patient that I've worked with before, then I'll just see, what did I do with them in the past, or what did my assistant do with them in the past. And then if it's a reassessment, then I'll look at what did I do with them initially, or what did the first therapist who worked with them do initially. And then that would be comparing how they did today versus how they did in the past, because Medicare requires progress. So I'm outside my first patient's place. I have about 18 minutes to spare. So after recording this, I'm going to do some logistical things. And for whatever reason, we have a few patients that were re-hospitalized this week. So I have to coordinate with my specific team, the office, as well as the hospitals and the doctors to make sure everything's where it's supposed to be. We're following guidelines with that. I also had a patient who I was supposed to evaluate today. That patient tested positive for COVID-19. So of course we're pushing their visits back until after about 10 to 14 days, I believe. And then we'll reevaluate from there. So I have to do some coordination with that as well. So with home health, lots and lots of coordination with your team, your office, and your doctors. Now my day today was supposed to be a relatively light day, 3 visits, but then a starter care visit, which is that long visit, got plotted onto my schedule, so I'll be seeing that at the end of the day. So normally with our company, the company I'm with, standard for productivity is, how many patients we're supposed to see to maintain the productivity the company wants is 5 points per day. Each type of visit has a different allocation of points. So today I'll be seeing 6, so it's a pretty busy day. So I probably won't get home until 5:30. I'll have to document later as well as schedule my patients for tomorrow. So overall, a very long Monday, but I prefer to front load my week as opposed to back load the week. So I'll be seeing my first patient here shortly, which is a PT evaluation. My first time seeing this patient, but someone else has seen them before me, and I'll talk about them after I see them. First visit of the day completes physical therapy evaluation. I was in there for about 47 or so minutes. Now I'll have to do some documentation on my phone, which will take about 15 to 20 minutes. I'll have to call the doctor, send a fax in for orders. And when I spoke about orders earlier, essentially we have to follow what the doctor prescribes for the patient, right? So sometimes they'll come with standing orders where the doctor will say, okay, you're going to see this patient for 3 times a week for 4 weeks. And if I don't agree with that, after working with the patient, and if they don't want that many visits, then I can tell the doctor how many visits I think they will need to get better. And so I will call them or send a fax or both to try to get an order for what I think this patient needs. So this patient was originally hospitalized in the summertime for cellulitis of the left lower extremity, as well as a diabetic foot ulcer due to advanced neuropathy. What that translates to is she had an infection of her left leg, as well as an open wound or a cut due to decreased feeling or sensation in her leg due to diabetes, because a very common issue with diabetes is you lose sensation in your legs. So if you kick it on something or you step on something and cut it open, you don't feel it. So those things made it hard for her to walk, made it hard for her to stand and do things. So that's why she was hospitalized, went to a skilled nursing facility, and then now she is here getting help from us. So what we'll do is we'll work on those things. We'll work on strength, balance, gait training, how she walks, and hopefully all this that we do with her will translate over to her functional mobility, how she stands, how she gets on and off the toilet, rolls around in bed, walks around with her walker, etc. Our ultimate goal is to decrease her falls risk and improve her functional mobility. Now I'm parked in a church parking lot. I have about 20 minutes to spare, so I'm going to use my Bluetooth keyboard here and document the rest of that evaluation. Should take about 15 or 20 minutes. I'm just going to fax the order in because a verbal order might take too long right now due to the time constraints that I have. So I'm going to finish this note, then go to my next session, which is a PT reassessment, so it shouldn't take nearly as long. Second patient complete. She is doing a splendid job. Started about 4 weeks ago. She suffered a falls accident resulting in a right tibial fracture, as well as the right parts of her wrist were fractured as well. So since then, she has improved tremendously, has met about 90% of her physical therapy goals. The PT and PTA have been doing a great job working with her. So at this point, she is very appropriate for discharge coming up in a few weeks. All right, it's currently 12:30 p.m. I've seen 2 patients. I have one more in half an hour here, as well as the starter care visit later at around 2:30 or so. So with home health, how I like to schedule my days, I like to start between 9:30 to 10, somewhere in there. It's usually very hard to schedule patients any earlier than that. And then depending on how many visits I have for that day, like I said, I'll finish between 3 to 5 sometime in there. And today is just going to be 5 or later. So very, very busy day. Taking a little break here. Going to do some emails. Cracked open the 3D for some energy. I'll probably save like half of that for the starter care. And then just going to have the protein bar right now. So check in with you guys after the 3rd patient. All right, guys, so session 3 is complete. I'm currently in the Safeway parking lot. It's gonna go and use the restroom shortly here. Since COVID happened, I got into this job after COVID happened, but it's been a lot harder to find restrooms according to what my coworkers say. So my successes have been with grocery stores. So I'm parked here. I'm gonna do some documentation after I film this, as well as utilize the restroom. But the 3rd patient went very well. It was the feel-good session of the day, 100%, and it reminds me of, or I guess it reinforces my mind that choosing home health was the right decision for me. With physical therapy, I mentioned in the beginning, there's so many different settings you can work in, right? But to me, home health is very rewarding. It's the most rewarding out of all the experiences that I have had, and you get to truly make a big impact on someone's life, you know, not being able to stand up from a chair, not being able to walk, not being able to roll around in bed. That is a huge toll on your psyche. And, you know, to play a role in that and to see someone's development over a period of time, that's huge for me. So I saw this patient about a month ago. I evaluated him when I first started with this company. And at that time, he's wheelchair bound. So primarily spends his time in a power wheelchair. He couldn't stand up. It took 2 of us to help him stand up. He was max assist, could barely shift his weight forward like this, and he couldn't get up from bed to the edge of bed without someone fully helping him. So I haven't seen him since then. My assistant has been seeing him, but today he was able to stand up by himself. He was able to take a few short steps, and he was able to stand with fairly good balance. So to see that huge transformation going into this visit today, I didn't think that was going to be the case, but it was. So definitely awesome to see. And during the visit, he was, you know, telling me that he became quadriplegic at a very young age, meaning that you lose function of your arms and your legs. He was in a motor vehicle accident. And he said that throughout all this, the main lesson he's learned is not to take things for granted. And he said that once you are laying there in a hospital bed and you hear bad news from the doctor, that's when you realize that you've been taking things for granted. So the fact that, you know, I'm healthy, the fact that I'm hoping who's watching this right now, you're healthy, you know, don't take that for granted. Maximize your mobility, maximize your health, and it'll serve you well in the long run. So that's a feel-good session of the day. I don't know why they're honky, but I'm going to use the restroom, document, and then I'll probably listen to a podcast for a little bit. That's another reason why I love home health. This is going to be a whole separate video by itself, but I love that between patients, I have some me time, as well as time to listen to music, podcast, and at heart, I'm an extroverted introvert. So I'm very good with, you know, talking to people, but I definitely need my alone time after each patient. Yeah, gonna do all that, then starter care next session. Let's get into it. I wanted to quickly show you guys what the electronic medical record system looks like on our cell phones or tablets. I want to preface this by saying this is a training app. This is what I use to learn this EMR. So what I'm showing you is all made up patients. It's not the actual system, although it looks exactly like it, and I'm not breaking any HIPAA rules. So I'm just covering my butt there. These are all made up patients, okay? So this is what the main screen looks like. It shows us our productivity as well as how many visits and points we have for the week, how many miles we're at, etc. You can go into a lot of detail here, and then I can click this button here. Sorry, this is a little hard to maneuver. Up here, it has each day, and then it'll show how many visits I have for that day. So again, anywhere from 3 to 6. Normally, I won't have any overdues, but these will show up there on the respective days. And let's go into the 0-0, which is a starter care. That's what it looks like. I'll go to visit action. I'll try to do, anywhere from 60 to 70% of this in home, and then I'll type up on my Bluetooth keyboard afterwards, as it expedites the process a little bit. But all the red stars or the red asterisks we have to fill out by the time we finish. So this is all the information that I need, all the information the office needs, and then all the information that I need to complete the visit and get paid. So as an example, we have to take their vitals every session, anything from temperature, their pulse, respiration, blood pressure, oxygen levels, and pain, and then more depending on what type of diagnoses they have. In physical assessments, you can see all the different things we have to take a look at. So all the different systems: genitourinary, gastrointestinal, respiratory, cardiovascular, pain, homebound status, COVID screening. So lots and lots, especially this functional tab here. There are 36 questions that we have to go through to talk about their function. Things such as how they're able to walk 10 feet before recent events, now, and our goal for them after, getting on and off the toilets, shower, putting on and off a shirt, etc. So that's just one section right there. You have patient goals, diagnosis, pathways. This is where we put the different type of services we think they need, and then all the above. So I'll do 60 to 70% of this in home. I'll sign out, incomplete, and then I'll type it up later when I get home. And after this, I'll have to type up like a summary note to send to the team, office, and just a quick idea of what the patient is like. Starter care visit complete. I was in there for about 90 minutes and finished about 50% of the documentation. So gonna go home now. It is 4:11 p.m. Have about 60 to 90 minutes more of documentation in order to finish this, and then I'll have to schedule patients for tomorrow. So this starter care patient was a falls patient. She fractured her wrist, her radius, and her ulna, as well as a few carpal bones. And since then, this was about a month ago, she hasn't been able to walk. So currently she's unable to stand. Therapy will be working with her for the next 5 or 6 weeks, really working on those prerequisites to get her back to walking, balance, strength, coordination, etc. Before all this, she was able to walk and really do everything by herself. So hopefully in the next 5 or 6 weeks, we'll be able to make some progress there. So we'll see you guys back at the house. All right, so that is the day in the life of a home health physical therapist. I'm actually glad you guys were able to see today, because today was definitely an anomaly. I am new to the company as of 6 or 7 weeks ago, but have not had a day that busy. And for full productivity, it's normally 90% of what today was. So it's 4:45 right now. I still have to schedule my patients, do documentation for that starter care, as well as documentation for the patients that were re-hospitalized. So another few hours yet. Normally I'm working anywhere from, so I start at 9 o'clock or 8:30 rather. I'll chart review till about 9:15 or so, and then I'll see patients from 10 to 3:30, 4 o'clock, and then I'll finish documentation by 6. But today, again, definitely a different type of day. So if you guys enjoyed this video, leave a comment below if you want to see more of this, or if you have any other topics you want to see, let me know. Otherwise, we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.